Bonjour mesdames et messieurs. In this episode I show you how to shoot without a tripod in the night. In last episode I showed you how to make some amazing fireworks photo. The 4th of July was just around the corner. We have the 14th of July coming up in Europe where there's lots of fireworks. Check it out if you're into fireworks shooting. This week I'm going to show you an experience that I did of shooting in the middle of the night after sunset without a tripod. Many monuments do not authorize the use of tripods, but we still want to make nice photos, and you know the nicer light is always after sunrise or during sunrise, so in low light situations. So how to do it? Well, I'm going to show this to you. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, and here are some cool tips and tricks on shooting at night without a tripod. If you do come to Paris, and I believe you have this type of places wherever, in many places in the world, which is a high vintage view, but tripods are not allowed. Like I remember in New York, I was on the top of the Empire State Building, tripods were not allowed. Now, you know how it is, nicer the light, nicer is the photo. So if you do come to Paris and you have the opportunity to come to the top of the Arc de Triomphe, which is what you see here, you can, it's actually it's a lot bigger than what it looks here. And when you're on the top, on this side, you've got La Défense, which is like a sort of a Manhattan area of Paris. And the other side, you've got the Champs-Élysées, which is one of the most beautiful avenues of Paris. The only problem is that the sun sets, the west is here, so the sun sets by the La Défense area. So the thing is, we have all these vintage places where you can see the city, and if you want to take a nice shot, the best is to go at sunset when you have a nice sunset. And I had the nice sunset the other day, and I wanted to test the Sony A7R to see how it would perform at sunset. So if you look at this photo, I shot this at 28 past 10. So really it was really like the sun was completely set behind the horizontal line. It was really dark. You could see nothing in the sky except where the sun set, which was like behind this tower. So now, how do you do to shoot that without a tripod? Well, of course, you can use one of these little tripods that you can mount on the bar, on a window or something. But I didn't have that, and I actually have 3, but I forgot it that day, and that happens to me all the time. I have like a nice vintage view of something, and I don't have my tripod. So here is the trick. The trick is you have to put, and that's very important, first thing first, you have to put your camera on a timer, on a 2-second timer. Meaning when you press the shutter, it goes 1, 2, and it takes a photo. This way, when you take the photo, you're not pressing the button, so there is no vibration. Okay? Then you go into manual mode, and check this out. What I did is I went to 1/20th of a second, which normally at 1/20th of a second you do get blurry shots. But if you really put your arms on your shoulder, on your stomach, for example, and you hold down the camera and you hold down your breath, 1/20th of a second, you should be able to get a sharp photo. You just have to, take photos over and over again. Then you open. Now I'm using the 35mm, the Zeiss 35mm that was built for the Sony A7R. So of course, if you have like a 35mm 2.8, that's really cool. Try just to open as much as you can your lens. All right, but check this out. I was only at 320 ISO. The sun was setting there, and look, the photo is pretty sharp. It is actually pretty sharp. I was really surprised. Now, as usual, I'm always shooting for the highlights. So what you do is you put your camera at 1/20th of a second, 2-second timer, 2.8 or 4.0 or 3.5, whatever is your best aperture. And then you start going up the ISO. And you take a photo until you've got something like that looks like this, maybe a bit brighter because I must admit the Sony A7R has an amazing dynamic range. But honestly, you see, I'm only at 320 ISO, and I got a pretty big depth of field on this one. I mean, everything is pretty sharp. So, and let me show you the final retouch result. I'm going to open up the shadows and look at this. Look at that. I opened up the shadows, and you can see the entire city. And that is because, that's because of the power of Lightroom, but it's also because it's a properly exposed RAW file. We only at 320 ISO, which is cool. Now, white balance. When you're doing sunset on cities, there's one white balance that I advise you, but it's very hard to get the right white balance right away. So what I usually do is I go to shade, and I add a little bit of magenta. Okay, that's something that I like. Next, let's bring down the highlights a little bit. Let's see something like this. Not necessarily to 100, just something like this. And then let's do the white point. So I hold on the Alt key and move to the right until I see some spots. And then I do the same thing with the blacks. Okay, and I'm going to take this out by pressing I. Now check this out. I mean, look at this photo. It was taken without a tripod at night. Now the only problem is, I don't have a low exposure, so all the cars are very sharp. All the lights, they don't have the star that I love. If you follow my tutorial, I love the stars on the light. You only get that at f13, not at f2.8. But still, the photo is very nice. And I'm going to show you how we can even make it nicer. So let's crop it first. The horizontal line is not straight. That was not straight. That's because of the position of the arms on my chest. It's not very accurate. So let's just follow this. I want to make it a bit more dynamic. I want to have like 2/3 of the city and 1/3 of sky. So that's something like this, a bit more dynamic like this. And now it's time to do the magic. Now it is time to do the magic. Because that's the basic retouching. Let me show you the before. Backslash key to show you the before. That's the before, that's the after. It's already crazy. But check this out. Let's first go to the brush. I think that the rooftop are a bit too blue, and I don't want to change my overall white balance more than that. So now it's time to do a tailor-made white balance. So I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to warm things up. I'm going to put the yellow and the red. The tint, somebody asked me the other day, what is the tint? What's the difference between temp and tint? Well, the only difference is what you see. Temp is going to change your photo, change your photo or your white balance, your brush towards the blue or towards the warm on the top, and at the bottom towards the green or towards the magenta. That's all. It is completely an arbitrary color choice. So here I am. I've added this. I'm going to add some clarity because one thing I'm going to do, I forgot to do, but I will do it later on. I'm not going to add clarity on the entire photo because I think clarity is good when it's used selectively. So I'm gonna put some clarity there because I want some clarity on the buildings, and I'm gonna make sure that my flow and density is around 65, not 100, so that it's more subtle. And I'm just gonna paint. So what I'm painting is color. What I'm painting is a little bit of color and a little bit of clarity. Let's add a bit more warm. I'm just trying to warm things up. Now check the difference. Because you see, if I would change my white balance completely, this part of the city would be really too much warm. Now check the right part I've painted. If you want to see where you painted, you just roll over your mouse. Okay. Now I've painted like this, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So it's subtle, but I thought it was a bit too blue. Okay, and I like to go to zones. Okay, so that's one thing. And then the next thing is I'm going to play around with a radial filter. First, I want to make a radial filter to enhance my sunset. So I'm going to make a big filter like this. Okay, you see and I'm going to invert. Right now, what's happening is that everything, the temp and the tint is to the right, and clarity is to the right. Now, I don't want clarity to the right, and it's doing that on everything but inside of the circle. I don't want that. This is wrong. I want to invert the mask. And by inverting the mask, what's happening is the sunsets or these colors only happen in the, I think the sun was a bit here on the right. So I just want to enhance a little bit the sun by adding some yellows, and I might add a bit of saturation. Check it out. I mean, it is subtle, but it makes, look at this, before, after. Okay, it's warmer. Okay, now the lights is pretty complex, but I still want to complex the light a little bit more. So I'm going to click new, and I'm going to make a little radial filter here, which this time I'm going to go to exposure, and I'm going to invert the mask as usual, invert the mask. And now I have a little bit of light here, and make sure the feather is at 100. Okay, I just want to add a little bit of light here. Maybe actually a little bit more, slightly more. Something like this. Okay, duplicate. Let's go here, duplicate. And I'm actually going to give you this raw file so you're going to see for yourself, that it is possible to shoot at night without a tripod with today's camera. And I believe you can still do that with a 5D, 6D, 7D, 70D, Nikon D800, Nikon D3S, everything. Okay, so now, yeah, I've added a bit of light here. Maybe that's a bit too much here. I'm going to lower it down a little bit. Okay, and then one more thing. I'm going to go to the brush. And maybe I'm going to go to exposure on the brush and just add a bit of exposure here on that street. Just to, the eyes is going to be guided toward the brightest part of the photo. So if in the center you've got something which is very bright, like here, the eyes is going to go inside and then toward there. Maybe it's a bit too much. I'm going to take it down a notch. Okay. And voila, I think I might add, I want to try something. Just to add a bit more contrast in terms of colors, I want to add a little gradient filter, which I'm going to add here. But on this gradient filter, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to temperature. Oh, by the way, whenever you have a local tool like a brush, the radial filter, or the gradients here, you always have like presets on top. So if you take, for example, exposure, what it does, it puts everything at 0 except exposure that it's plus or minus. In this case, what I want to do is I want to lower slightly the exposure, but I want to add a little bit of blue, a little blue element in the sky. It's just to make it so we have a little bit of blue there. It just makes a more interesting sky. Check it out. Before that gradient, after the gradient, I think the sky is a bit more interesting because now it goes from blue down to warm. Okay? So we are recreating. I mean, this is really the emotion I had when I saw this. Okay, last but not least, on the overall settings, I want to have a little bit of minus clarity. And let's do the final retouching, which is the sharpening. Sharpening is going to be, so let's jump in to check the noise level. Now check this out, 320 ISO, it's hardly any noisy. I mean, today's camera is amazing, and I must say I'm a big fan of the Sony A7R. If you're working for Sony, please call me. I need you to sponsor me really urgently because I love your products. Okay, so luminance noise, I'm going to be at 20. I'm going to increase the noise reduction to 20. And I'm going to put, my rule, if you follow my tutorial, I always put 100 of sharpening minus whatever I've put in noise reduction. So in this case, I'm going to put about 80 of noise reduction and 20 of noise reduction and 80 of sharpening. Okay, and now, last but not least, I just want to do some masking. I don't want the sharpening that we just did to go on flat things like the sky. So that's where the masking comes in. You just hold on the Alt key and you move to the right and it makes a mask. And the principle of a mask is that anything which is black is not going to get sharpened. So something like that is called, like 36. And this way I've got a nice fuzzy sky and I've got a very sharp buildings. And you have to see it for yourself. Download the raw file and give it a try. And then go out there. If you've got, like, in your city, you've got a nice vintage point, go there. I mean, if tripods are lost, by all means, use a tripod. Tripods are way better. But, this is this is what you can do when it's not allowed. I mean, you can get authorizations to shoot if you don't have a tripod. But, boy, it's not easy to get. Okay, let me show you in full screen mode. So this is the final result. Pretty cool for a photo that was taken without a tripod. I really like it. And and come to Paris and go to the top of the Arc de Triomphe and give it a try. Okay, guys, I hope you like this tutorial. And I will see you in the next episode. Mesdames et messieurs, au revoir.